Lake Placid in upstate New York in the beautiful Adirondack Mountains on a snowy Saturday, the final day of sliding for the 2016 calendar year. And it is the last deciding heat of the four-man bobsleigh second round of the BMW IBSF World Cup. You want action, you want drama. John Morgan, we've got action, we've got drama.
Okay, the Russians, Andrianov, there's 3 Russian sleds here, and they crashed down at 6-7, the Devil's Highway, they call it. And amazingly, these guys finished 10 seconds behind. They're going to come out in the second run with 3 new guys. The Canadians also had problems down at curve 18-19. Nick Polinalto and crew, they finished intact. No problem, they're okay, they're coming out, still competing. Now we get into the medals. Here's Cody Basque. He's never won a medal before. This young 22-year-old from Whitehall, New York is on the verge of winning his first ever medal in bobsledding. Good runs on the bottom part of the track, but he made a little mistake down at 18-19. He is only 400ths out of a medal, or out of the gold. One Jung Wall. He's never finished better than 11th in four-man bobsledding. He won the World Cup 2-man title last year, and this Korean is saying, hey, I can also do well in 4-man. He's only 100th out of the lead. The top 3 sleds are separated by 400ths of a second. And here comes Rico Peter. Well, he won 2 medals last week in Whistler, 2 weeks ago, including a silver in the 4-man bobsled. And he drives his Swiss sled down this treacherous track. Not a problem. A few rough spots, but he's rough and he's fast, and he's the leader. What a heat of bobsledding. What a heat of bobsledding coming up.
I tell you what, yeah, what we've got coming up, look how tight this is. Top 3 covered by 400s. Look down to Lamindine in 8th place. 1600 a second, top 8. Anything could happen, and probably will. I have 3 words for you. Buckle up, baby. This is going to be fun. Kaylee Humphries didn't start in the race. She had a crew like Alana Myers-Taylor was hoping to get in the 4-man race, but must have been an injury or an illness this morning that forced her to scratch. The Brazilians are here, the Canadians, the Americans, the British, the French, the Dutch,
Austrians,
the Russians, but our top 3, a rookie or a young driver who's never taken a medal, a Korean driver who's never taken a medal in 4-man, and Rico Peter, who took 2 medals a fortnight ago. The Russians who crashed, Maxim Andrianov, 3 new brakemen out of the bench. Hey guys, suit up, you're on.
They're only 10 seconds out of the lead, and they're still going down.
Going for points, World Cup points. We talked about this when they crashed, could be so important. Maxim Andrianov and his makeup crew will go off first. Nick Polinalto with the guys, Derek Plug, McDougall and Sunderland, they were all buzzing in the finish hut after the crash. So, wow, look at the start, look at the start. Nick Polinalto went, guys, it's more than about just the start. Yeah, not to brakemen, it's not. So here we go, Maxim Andrianov, take 2, 3 new brakemen behind him. Rostislav Kuchevich, that's probably not right, Nikolai Nedilov, and Sergei Saisev.
How about they just have a bunch of extra guys hanging out?
Yeah. and we've done headshots for them.
For them all.
That's amazing. Here we go.
So they don't really have to run hard here. They're going to finish last unless someone else crashes.
Are you kidding me? Alexander Zubkov, the head of the Russian Federation, is there. They have to run harder than the other guys did.
Push bar out. This is dangerous. Oh, he's trying to get it in. It's not coming in. This might be related to the crash. And
yeah, that's possible.
They should pick PA systems should say, oh, get away, watch out, camera crew. This is dangerous. See, our cameraman backed off there. Yeah. This is this is related to the crash. That could hit and just snap off.
Yeah.
Too.
It's spring-loaded, so it should pop out of a little groove there and back up and slap against the sled, and that's probably knocked it back in. It has knocked it back in. Wow.
What else are we going to see here today?
Rocky Rock.
Let's see him get through here. Let's get him through here. Right, come on. Yes, okay. Give him a hand, man. Goes up, crashes, gets 3 new guys, comes out, and finishes. Now this is a tough persona right here to be a bobsledder.
498, that's a decent run. 54.98, that would have left him ahead of Alana Myers-Taylor in 14th place after the first heat. Done and down. Okay, it was ugly. It wasn't his best ever drive down this track. Got it done.
Yeah,
got back on the horse that threw it.
He's got points.
Yep.
Points that could determine where he... Look at the push bar here now. You know, you want to see how much force it takes to take this push bar down? Watch this. Bang! You know, how much energy is that? How can we measure how much energy
that may not work properly the next time they pull it out. It might not pull back out. Well,
they get to go to the leaders box. Yeah. They're the leaders for at least, they're going to be the leaders for a sled.
Kudos to Adrianov and to the 3 guys who stepped up. Nick Polignato also crashed in the first heat. With Dan Sunderland, Derek Plugg, and Keenan McDougall behind him.
Some football and hockey players on here, no problem.
They were buzzing about a 5:06 start. Nick had other things to worry about. He wants to keep these guys safe for Christmas.
Again, Polignato had a great breakout Canadian trials. He won one of the races.
Yep.
Surprised some people. I'm surprised how good the Canadians are. All 3 teams are very proficient in the first 50 meters at the start. Canadians have a great selection of athletes on top of the hill. So smart other teams though too, right?
Yeah.
The quality of the athletes that are in the fields now are unbelievable.
We don't have our Germans here. They're back home. Oh, and he's gone! And we're early as well.
He got on there late. So
8-9. The crossover there caught him out. He was already thinking ahead into Shady. It all got away.
It's a long ride to the bottom. Probably going 45, 50 miles an hour here. Stay in the sled, guys. Stay in the sled. That cocoon there. Now the track crew will be assembling down here around this curve here. And now they're just going to go uphill. There's danger of this sled coming backwards if they don't catch it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come way up the hill here. So that's see, now it's going to come backwards. And stay in the sled. Don't try and get out.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Well, that's double rough on those guys because they crashed. Okay, we're good. Let's go again. And you've got to have ultimate faith in your driver. You trust him, you know, with the speed, with the sled, ultimately with your life, with your safety, and you've got to let the guy have another go. You've got to trust him. And they stood up and went up and.
Well, this is the same thing that happened to the Russian sled in the first heat. You know, but he just got off there too late, and you know, this is now he did not finish, so now he will not get points, unlike Andrianov.
Yeah, so tough break for the Canadians.
The track crew, they stopped right at a point where we don't have camera coverage. There's probably only about 10 feet in the track where we don't have it, and that's spot right there, and here they are.
Yeah, that's at the low point right in the middle of the heart.
So now they're trying to get everybody out.
And then, of course, you've got to lever this big sled over the wall and out of the track itself. There's your driver, Nick Polignato. He's out. Half under the cowl. He's the last man really to come out. The other guys are out already, and they'll be getting examined by the medical staff, who you can see there, but also getting ready just to help these track workers get the sled out of the track.
Well, late, you know, that's as late as anybody. Andrianov was not that late. And Nick, he just got in there late in that curve, and there's, you know, the track's got this own personality of, you know, it's tough to get down.
Yeah.
They're still concerned about their sled. Look at that. So
of course, it's your baby.
Australians going over to help them out. And that's the low point. Look at him there.
You
Look at
baby
Derek
these
Clark.
things.
You
Yeah.
know, Derek.
Derek's there in the yellow jacket. Lucas Matana, he lives in Calgary with all these guys.
Hey, listen. He's okay. You got to have some clowns in the sport.
You know, we only had a couple minutes to try and get ready. I guess it just wasn't enough. But the crew's okay. We're going to be okay. We'll be back We'll be back second half.
Have a good Christmas, guys.
You think, you're looking at these pictures, these guys just went 700 meters upside down, 50 miles an hour. They've done it in 2 consecutive runs.
Yep.
They've got beat up, and Derek Clark just comes out and says, hey, we're okay, no problem. We'll be back after Christmas. And, you know, they do have the best start times of the 3 Canadian sleds. So
Yep.
You know, what's that song about growing up to be a cowboy?
Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys and or bobsledders. Yeah.
This is what they go through. But, you know, the mental toughness, you want to see how tough these guys are?
Well, you know, half this Canadian lineup have come direct from CFL. They know what a hit's all about.
And they know what they're playing in cold
They take
weather.
the hard licks. And there's the Russians.
Those guys have had a rough. Well, not the three guys on the left.
There's Andrianov on the right. Yeah. What are you
He's
going to
had
do?
the rough day. These three guys are fresh. They made it down.
Well, we always say, look, you know, that you always see the emotion when you're watching from the leader's box. Everybody knows what it's like to crash. I mean, literally, Andrianov knows what it's like to crash. He did it in the last hour. So, and he knows what it's like to crash off that corner. He's done that in the last hour.
In defense of the track. There was no crashes all week long in practice. Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we had one crash. Mika McNeil crashed up in curve 2. But the track, you know, and the four-mans were, you know, a discussion with Tony Carlino. He said the four-mans are negotiating the track better than the two-mans all week long. And it was much colder than it is right now.
Yeah.
Training Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday was in frigid conditions. The ice was harder, so maybe these aren't the lines these guys saw in training.
But again, you know, racing does different things, doesn't it? You know, you give it 100% in training, but there's more. There's always more. You're always pushing that you know, testing yourself even further in a race, and that's why you have more incidents in racing often than you do in training. So, slushing in some repairs. There's the big shady corner, one of the signatures here.
If we could get him to tilt up a little bit. You tilt up a little bit more. Over now, see, there's the other track. See that straightaway on the right? And that's the exit of Shady 1. Now, see that space right there? That's the exit of Shady 1 on the old track. Now, the old track, when it was built in 1932, was 1.5 miles. So there was a whiteface connector, which is right above the start where we are now. There was a whiteface connector from the 1/2 mile to the top part of the mile, and then Shady connected you to the bottom half of the track. They lowered the start in 1938 to make it 1 mile, and then at the 1980 Olympics, they dug the track up in 1978 and refrigerated it. And that's that track we see across the street that you've had a lot of conversations with people.
And
that was a challenge.
Still use it occasionally for passenger rides. Yeah.
Passenger rides.
Now that has got to be awesome. That would just be a great trip down there, down the old track, because like Cortina d'Ampezzo in Italy, it's sunk into the ground. You know, these modern refrigerated tracks, unlike San Moritz, the modern refrigerated tracks are elevated so that you can get a nice, you know, gradual ride down the mountain. But those ones that are sunk into the ground, your eyes are at ground level, gives you a whole different view.
Different perspective.
Yeah, it really does. Really does. Well, it's more hurry up and wait, I'm afraid. And Ivo de Bruin will be next up. This is the sled of Alana Myers-Taylor. She will go next. And you can see Justin Olsen's sled as well, ready to wait. There's the Dutch sled on the ice. Had a couple of holds this week already.
On the left, the kid in the black and white there, that's Hunter Church. I think that was, no, I don't know if it was Hunter or not, but he was a pilot sled. They might send a pilot sled down here too. They could be thinking of that. Possible,
quite possible. Just to make sure, it helps reset the timing system as well, just to guarantee that there are no errors with that. But yeah, it's getting a bit beat up, little part of the track, and you can see
that's in the expansion joint. That's in the expansion joint. That's why you see that crack there like that. But
see what the cold yesterday has done to the ice. I mean, it was brittle. Yeah, we're not used to ice temperatures much below -10 in many places. Yesterday, it was way below. And I mean, you could tell how cold it was when you walked around the TV compound here. The snow squeaks. It's so cold. Not crackles or crunches. It's got that super cold feel. And the Aussies there in the yellow jacket. Gareth Nichols was in the two-man sled with Lucas Matter. Lucas down at the bottom.
Look at this little water here on the right side.
I wonder if that's where they've slushed in, because there's certainly nothing around here melting.
Yeah, they must have slushed that in.
Wind's gone, the snow has gone from earlier. The women's race was really snowy. Lots of Canadian fans and family here. Great day in the women's skeleton race earlier on for Mirella Raniva, rookie in her second ever World Cup race. John, she kind of looked a little deer in the headlights after winning a bronze medal. I don't think she sort of really went, okay.
No, I kept on asking her, what's this mean? What's this mean? But she said to me, this is where I learned how to slide.
Yeah.
She spent a lot of time down here, and she's got a bronze medal. She beat the other Canadians who won the gold medal in Whistler 2 weeks ago.
There you go.
So the Canadians have got a great women's skeleton program, and they won 2 medals yesterday in men's bobsled. They won a bronze medal in women's bobsled, and the U.S. done well. Of course, the Germans are not here in the 2-man, 4-man, or women's bob, and the Russians, they won the men's skeleton, Trechikov. 4 different nations have won 4 different gold medals in the first 4 events that we've got here. And if somehow our friend Rico Peter...
Here's some of the girls that were due to be sliding with Kaylee, and in the center there, Brittany Reinbold from the USA. So Melissa Lott-Holtz on the right, Cynthia Appia. They were due to be in the sled with Kaylee Humphries. So I wonder actually if it's Kaylee who's not well this morning.
I think I saw Kaylee in one of the pictures earlier.
All right. Well, for whatever reason, Kaylee Humphries' 4-man sled was scratched just before the start of the event. 5-minute track hold. Just want to say yet again, what a great job has been done here through some really adverse weather conditions this week by Tony Carlino and the whole track crew. They come here, it's pitch black. They leave, it's pitch black. In between times, it snows, it blows, it's colder than Mars, literally colder than Mars. And for our TV crew as well, I know all the guys out on the mountain are looking forward to the end of this run so they can get in, get warm and get fed. But boy, they have earned their dollars this weekend. Fantastic job by all the crew in the truck and especially out on the mountain.
5, 6, 7. They call the section of the track where we've had 2 of the 3 crashes Devil's Highway. And, well, the Devil's Highway has got 2 of the sleds so far. And, you can't practice to crash. So you just tell your athletes to stay in the sled in that cocoon. And you do find a way to get real small, even though these guys are huge. The driver is the only one that has a problem holding on. He's usually got the D-rings, so he doesn't really have a chance to pull himself in, which is why you see the driver helmet out more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But, a lot of injuries happen when somebody tries to get out of that sled. In the old days, there was no sides on the sled, so you wanted to get out of the sled because it was so dangerous.
Well, you got spat out as well a lot of the time.
There's the Shady 2 curve. Again, the great tradition, history on this mountain, this place I've been coming all my life.
They don't have the Adirondack chairs out there that they normally have. They normally have the Adirondack chairs out, little bonfire going to keep the fans warm. Well, there's your race leader on the right-hand side, Maxim Andrianov, and his whole new crew.
There's our Shady over there on the right. You see that line? That's the old
little
track.
White trace going
track,
up above the corners, yeah.
Again, this track was opened Christmas Day, 1930. It's unbelievable. Long ago. And the mile and a half, like I said before, switched to a mile after 1938. And then they dug the track up for the 1980 Olympics and refrigerated the natural track. And that's the track over next door. They built this track here for the Goodwill Games. They started building it in 98. They built this track in about 14 months. And the Goodwill Games happened, and that was quite exciting. I don't know if you were doing commentary on it for Eurosport then, but that was quite an exciting competition.
You missed out on that. That was the end of 2000. I started 2000-2001 season. Further 10 minutes. Last couple of seasons, by the way, victory in the 4-man race here has gone to the same man. Max Arndt won in January, which was last season, and also the previous year. And in both cases, Alexander Kasyanov was in the silver medal position. Now, Kasyanov is down in 7th place after the first heat here, but he's one of those guys that's in 1600ths of a second mix of the top 8-9 sleds. So, again, he's got previous here. In January, Justin Cripps with Derek Plug, who we've just heard from, Ben Coakwell, and Alex Kopax, who we haven't seen this season. They took the bronze. 2 years ago it was Oskars Melbardis and the Latvian crew. Last US winner, of course, it was Stephen Holcomb, Kurt Tomasevich, Stephen Langton, and Chris Folks. They won in 13-14. Alexander Zubkov, who we've seen at the top of the track, the previous year's winner, ahead of Holcomb. In fact, 2013-14, Stephen Holcomb won in the night train to John Jackson of Great Britain, with Stu Benson, Bruce Tasker and Joel Fearon were behind them in the silver medal position, ahead of Thomas Florschutz. Thomas Florschutz in one of his final races in a German sled in the 13-14 season. And of course, the big day for Stephen Holcomb 2012 in the Worlds. Justin Olsen, Steve Langton, Kurt Tomasevich, they took the gold medal in the four-man.
They're pulling this sled back
well.
here.
Yeah.
Just pulling this Dutch sled back. So this is got a lot of labor going on.
Well, you know, we're getting to the stage now where there's quite a lot of housekeeping, and I think they're going to do it all in one go. And the reason they're doing it now, and they didn't in the first heat, John, is because it stopped snowing. In the first heat, if you waited for 15 minutes, you might have to wipe out the first heat because the snow suddenly comes in and builds up in the track, and it's not a fair race. Now, because there's no snow, track conditions aren't going to deteriorate because of the weather, and so they've got the opportunity now. And I think it's probably a savvy move by the race officials to try and clear, not so much clear the snow, but to try and slush in the holes in the track.
So this is the exit right here, the ramp for the doubles, luge, and women. And you know, this track crew, they're getting that ready probably for passenger rides. Start 3 or start 4 after the race.
Yep.
I think they do passenger rides from the lower start on the track. Start 4. Here they come. They're going up. You know, they got their little bucket of slush, and they're looking for grooves.
Well, the grooves they might have to
Ice-meisters,
leave.
we call them. The Ice-meisters. You know, they got that little mason tool there, so they. You know, you can see the grooves. You see the Lake Placid right about there. So I would think the grooves that you see there, that the racing sleds will straddle those.
Yeah, they're going to have to leave some of those long grooves. There's like 2/3 of a mile of just gouge, but the holes, that's what you want to fix, because
down here. So this is where that point there is where the runners are going to go over. And you know what? It's not cold as it was. So that stuff's not going to set as quickly, like you can see the other patch.
Yeah, but the other thing is that it is closer to the temperature of the track, so it'll freeze faster. When the track's really, really cold, it's like putting a patch of tar in a hole in the road. It's just going to drop out the first time it gets run over. Black hat there in the blue jacket, that's Russia's head of sliding, Alexander Zubkov, double gold medalist in Sochi in 2-man and 4-man, won on this track in 2012, December 2012, with Alexei Negodailo, Dmitry Trunenkov and Maxim Mokrosov. Mokrosov's no longer sliding, but Negodailo and Trunenkov are still part of the Russian
was around
Federation.
a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Of course, this year, Piotr Luders is not coaching the Russians. You know, we've had a big drop-off. We talked about it. You know, Luders is not with the Russians. Langen is not with the Germans. Tom Delahunty's not with the Canadians, and of course we lost Malcolm Lloyd a year ago now. So we lost 4 real figures in the sport in less than a year.
And Willi Schneider as well on the skeleton side, no longer with the Russian program. Sure, he's at home building sleds or working with somebody in Europa Cup, and we'll probably catch up with him once we get back to Europe after the Christmas New Year break. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of almost a little bit like you get that changing of the guard in athletes immediately post-Olympics quite often. There's a little bit of a change going on. I'm not sure Tom Delahunty is done with being a bobsled coach yet.
Let's talk about the people who've won here so far this week. So we started off with men's skeleton, and Alexander Trechikov won his first ever race on the track.
Yes.
Matt Antoine in second.
Yeah, about that, Matt Antoine pointed out after the race that, in fact, he has won on this track. I don't know quite where I got my results from 2013-14 season, but he was saying, did I not win? I seem to remember winning. Yeah, he did. I was just wrong as ever.
And third, who was in third for skeleton?
Well, hang on. Let me find my pieces of paper, which tell me all these useful things. Oh, I've put my skeleton ones away now. Bronze in the men's wasn't Thomas Ducours, wasn't Martin Ducours.
It was Korean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
that was.
And then the next race, 2-man bobsled with Stephen Holcomb coming out on top, and
that one I remember. Cripps in second, Spring
Sam
in
McGuffey
third.
with him, and Justin Cripps and Jesse Lumsden beat up Chris Spring and Lascelles Brown by 1/100 of a second, so an all North American sweep there. And then we had women's bobsled in the afternoon, and that was an American Jamie Grubel-Posner with Aja Evans.
That's her second win on this track this year, this calendar year, because she won the race in January here. Yeah.
And they set a track record. So that was 2 of the 3 races to that point on Friday had track records. And then Grubel-Posner was also just 200ths out of the start. Her and Aja Evans. A lot of Myers-Taylor, Lolo Jones, 300-400ths a heat down at the start. They lost by like 15-1800ths at the bottom. Kelly Humphreys, our token, the double Olympic Games gold medalist, who's always on the podium. And she's like Dukars. Very rarely is she not on the podium.
8100s behind she was in the bronze medal position. That was a big gap.
So here's Russia. They were the first guys to crash here, Andrianov and the 6-7 combination. And so those 3 guys, they threw them out, the 3 new guys they brought in. But here's Nick Politano, 18-19, at the bottom part of the track. Fraction, just inches away from getting through there, and they crashed. They're okay. They went back up. They came back down on the next heat, and here's the Canadians again. No problem. We're going to come down and good start. And but they get up there where Andrianov crashed, so up in 6-7, the part of the track they call the Devil's Highway, and then this is what's caused the delay. Derek says everybody's okay.
Yep.
We'll be back.
Well, he's had a couple of big ones in his career, and he's come back for more.
Hockey player.
Yeah.
Ice.
Yeah, they build them soft, don't they, hockey players? Yeah.
We had a chance to meet Derek's parents 2 weeks ago up in Whistler.
Yeah. Really nice always to see the family support that this sport engenders. I mean, all young athletes, bank a mum and dad, first and always strongest sponsor, and that is as true in this sport as any other.
And Jesse Lumpton's family's down here. I saw Neil Lumsden.
Okay.
He was inducted a couple years ago into the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame. I played against Neil Lumsden in college, believe it or not.
How are his knees?
He's better than mine, I
guess. Yeah. There you go. Well, he probably wasn't doubling up with rugby every weekend as well. See, up at the top of the track there, you saw the Austrian girls getting photos taken, and Manny Meyer, their coach, photo bombing them briefly. Everybody lining up their pre-Christmas shots.
2 minutes.
Photographic shots.
We've heard 2 minutes now.
2-minute warning, which means that the sled will be ready again for Ivo de Bruyn, and the crew will be coming out of the changing rooms, getting ready at the top of the track. So final little bits of slushing and preparation. Conditions a world apart from how they were for the women's skeleton race earlier.
So you see some IBSF jury people at the top. The guy in the gray hat, black in their jacket is Don Haas. He's the event director, race director, and he relates to the IBSF jury. So on the right, the big tall guy, you can't see him there, was Manny Schulte from Winterberg, Germany. They coordinate. What Don Haas is doing now is coordinating with his track crew all the repairs. Once Don Haas deems that the track repairs have been done, then he relays that to Manny. Then Manny will go back and tell the team captains, we're going to start in a certain amount of time. Yep. And they'll relay that to our start booths. And so it's a protocol, and we see the athletes coming out, so we're getting close to some racing.
Yes, we are. Okay, so long red flag period. We are getting ready to go back to green track action. There's Ivo de Bruyn. See how he's got the visor or the helmet sealed around the nose and mouth. That's so that the warm air goes out the bottom and doesn't mist up the visor. It's still below 0 out, and when you're doing 70, 80 miles an hour, as they will be at the bottom of the track, that freezes the visor very quickly indeed.
Got the Eurotech sticker on his helmet. That's a Eurotech sled.
Getting lots of support from Wim Normans at Viking Engineering, who builds the Eurotech sleds.
Not long ago, this young Dutch athlete, Ivo de Bruyn, was in a top 10, top 15 position, consistency on the World Cup Tour when he had some good starts, had some good backing, but since 2014, the Dutch Olympic Committee has really not put a lot of money into bobsledding, and he's the victim of that non-funding.
Yep. Well, there's a few athletes out that can definitely relate to that problem where the money goes away just as you're getting into the position where you need it more than ever. And that's unfortunately the nature of sport, of life, of everything else. And as you say, they are long on character and desire to succeed and short on funding. Also, by the way, guys, when you watch this back, I'm pretty certain that one of you left a set of thermal underwear in our headshot trailer in Whistler, and it will be in Altenburg. I am carrying it with me. Extra large, and it's craft black. So it's either them or it's Bro van der Zijde, but I have a feeling it's one of the Dutch guys. So there you go, that's our housekeeping dealt with. Let's get ready to go racing once more after a long track hold for repairs. Ivo de Bruin next up for the Netherlands with Rudy Mensik, David Boonpech and Dennis Venker having to get themselves back into a racing frame of mind after a 20-minute delay. 30 minutes since the race started. This is only our third sled down the ice, but luckily no wind, no snow. So conditions are still good for the Dutch. 5:34, same time as they started in the first heat. John Morgan, what does that delay, though, do to the driver's focus?
Well, it's good, you know, there's got to be something to it. You know, when he knows that the part of the track where the problem is, he's coming up right here, and he's no problem. Ooh, that was. As soon as I said no problem. And, you know, he gets to the bottom, he'll be the leader. And, of course, there's a couple more spots on the track. And it's 18-19, so let's see him get above this, get right on the BMW logo coming up here.
Good run through the chicane, really top run. He had a big skid there in the first heat. Gets it all together through 19, climbing to the finish line.
As expected, I mean, he's got a 9-second lead on the Russians, but hey, through and down, they're the leaders.
Now the Russians, Maxim Andrianov, who crashed in the first heat with his makeup crew at the start, 54.98. Ivo's just done a 55.47 run. So Andrianov was hanging it out there just as much in the second heat as he was in the first.
Up at 6-7, it was hanging it out. He made sure he got off a 6 and
but
7 there.
He was not taking it easy, nor were the Dutch. Next up then for the USA is Alana Myers-Taylor. Alex Harrison at 2, husband Nick Taylor at 3. Alana's, not Alex's, you understand? And Hakeem Abdul-Sabor at 4.
They were impressive in the first round on a 5:10 start.
Yeah, let's see where they get to in the second.
You know, Alana, you know, she's 30-40 pounds lighter than most drivers, so she's got to distribute it in the sled, but a couple of these guys, this Abdul-Sabor.
Yeah, look at Hakeem.
He is a huge man.
What a monster. He is such a beast. He's nearly twice as much as the rest of the crew.
Her husband, Nick Taylor, riding number 3. Never seen a husband-wife come. Oh, and bobsledding, and she did really good in the first round.
Yeah. Well, she knows how to drive. She's a strong, powerful athlete. She was a massive medal-winning success as a brake woman for the US teams, and now as a driver as well. Good lines. That makes it look so straightforward.
Bottom part of the track, 11, 12.
1.2 seconds in front of the Dutch. Her target, though, will be to catch the Brazilians. The Austrians may be in front of her.
She's way above that BMW sign. I don't like that. I mean, she's late here, but no, she's in complete control.
Yeah, she knows where she's going, using the height to get the speed at the bottom of the track.
54.97.
Yeah.
1,600 slower, and the Dutch look on. And Alana, nice job.
Yeah, good job by the crew. And again, how many dry land or ice starts have they done together? You could probably count them on the fingers of both hands, maximum. So that's a really strong starting unit. 5:10 in the first heat, 5:13 in the second.
Look at the aerodynamics and team. You can see a lot of the team behind them, but that's because they haven't had a chance to work together and fit in that sled better. Nice job, Alana.
Yeah, Alana Myers-Taylor has the lead of the race. That's not something we're unfamiliar with saying either, is it? Usually there's only a couple of sleds to follow her down, though. Next up is USA's Justin Olson. So Olson with Austin Landis, Luis Morea and Evan Weinstock lay in the silver medal position after the first of the 2 heats in the 2-man race. But his lack of experience meant that he was unable to quite get that second run nailed the way he wanted to.
That start time, though, in the first run,
Yeah.
these 4 guys right here.
Now they're going to break the 5-second margin. Again, no audible, so much noise.
That was better.
That was a really good
That
hit.
was a lot better than the
Could be
first
sub 5. Here we go. Oh,
504.
504.
So, well, all this athlete wants to do is get down the bottom of the track. He's finding his way on the sport. You know, he's brand new. This is the night train sled that won the Olympic gold medal in 2010 and the World Championships on this track. He was a rider in that sled.
Yep.
And now he's in the front seat. Yikes! Through. One more albatross for him. That's 18-19. 12-13. This is the labyrinths.
Again,
he's really high there.
Making it look good, using the height.
This is a guy that, you know, next year you're starting to see. Watch out here. A lot of steering there. Watch out here at 18-19. Get through here. Yes.
I got this, he says, and he does. Justin Olson will also be close to the lead of the race from Alana Myers-Taylor. No!
Hung on there.
7/100ths of a second.
So Alana beat him in that heat.
Squeezes in.
But, you know, he's just learning. This is his first ever World Cup 4-man race. Congratulations, Justin. You had the best start time in yesterday's 2-man competition. You had the best start time in today's 4-man competition, and you made it down. And, you know, he's just starting to figure things out. You can see there's somebody behind him, shoulders coming up, bouncing, and that skid. It's tough to get a 4-man, but look at them having to adjust and steer there. That's where he lost all his time on the bottom. And this is down to 18-19. It's no picnic down there either. Justin, congratulations on your first World Cup 4-man finish.
Yeah, he knows what it's like to win here. 4 gold medals on this track with Stephen Holcomb. Justin Olson leads from Alana Myers-Taylor. Next up is the Brazilian foursome. Edson Bindliati, Edson Martins, Dennis Pareas, and Rafael Souza da Silva. Last World Cup race of the season, we understand. Their coach Joe Manning leaning over the ice wall just at the far side of your shot. Will keep them in North America, continuing to improve their performance on tracks that they already know. That's got to be a good way to learn.
5:17 in the first run. The precision, getting in, getting down, getting those arms tucked into an aerodynamic position. 5:20 this time.
But again, they've all gone through their regular warming up routine, and then there's been a 20-minute period where they're hanging around, but then go off and continue limbering up. So a lot of these muscles will be a little colder and not quite as explosive as they should be, and he hangs it out there.
See what he does here at the bottom. 1400s down. He did pretty good in the first heat on the bottom part of the track. That was the nice exit there at 12. He likes this 4-man better than the 2-man. These are good lines, 14 to 12. Speed, 83.7.
Oh, his legs almost away with it.
Get through there. Holy crap. 800, this is right to the 100th. He's coming back. There, he stayed up. He didn't get off 18-19 properly. That cost him, and I'm just happy they got through there.
Yeah.
That's air. That 4-man sled, 3/4 of it's in the air. There's maybe a tip of one runner on the ground, and he, you know, that's where the Canadian Nick Polianto crashed. Polianto crashed there, and he wasn't so fortunate. Here, watch, he's in the middle, and now he's got to really steer hard to watch how much of the sled's airborne here.
Yep, that fell off and somehow came out of the shades the right way up, whereas Nick Polianto didn't.
The gods were with him on that.
Yes, they were. So plenty of good fortune riding with the Brazilians. They slipped to 3rd place. Justin Olson still leads from Alana Myers-Taylor. 11 sleds to go to round out sliding for 2016. This 4-man competition in Lake Placid. Benny Meyer with Stefan Lauseger, Markus Sammer and Danut Moldovan for Austria.
Decent start in the first run. 5:06, fourth best start of the first heat. And they get here, 5:09. So everybody's 200 or 300 slower.
2600ths of a second advantage over current leader Justin Olsen from the first heat.
This young 22-year-old from Innsbruck broke onto the scene last year with a silver medal in St. Moritz, Switzerland in four-man bobsledding, and he's arrived. And a lot of promise and hopes on this young Austrian and their team. They got decent start times, and I think we're going to see a little bit more success from him when he gets back to the European tracks. He's a lot more familiar. Go! Watch out here. Way in, now he's got to adjust. 18-19. This is no picnic here. He's no problem.
3600s out to 4/10 up. Oh, this is a quick sled, this Austrian sled. 4800s in front of Justin Olsen. Yes, says his dad.
On the left. Christina Hengster on the right. USA. Good job, Olsen. Team Olsen and Team Benny Meyer. You know, he knows that Lake Placid and Whistler's now in his rear view mirror.
Yep.
So we can head off to Altenburg. What a way to start the year.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, well, Altenburg's got a lot of the same personality this track does. And this is hard to get a four-man in trouble. But when you do, look at the amount of steering he's got to do there.
Yeah.
Get it back into position to steer around curve 17.
It's not a drift competition, but he would have got points for style out of that. Justin Cripps next up, silver medalist in the two-man race yesterday here. Jesse Lumsden behind him then, as now. At 3, Josh Kirkpatrick. At 4, Ben Coakwell. So Lumsden returning to ice sliding after 2 years away from the Canadian lineup. Looks like he's never been away, doesn't he?
Veterans, Kirkpatrick, Coakwell.
Yep.
Canadians
Couple
got some
more
good
CFL
athletes.
stars.
Canadians got 3 good teams of push athletes.
Graham Richardson on the left, the head coach, Todd Hayes on the right. Hayes was suggesting that he might just get down to track record pace in the four-man, but it would need a really epic start.
Good exit of 1. Cripps, I don't think he started late in that heat after the crashes, so good time here. He can post a good time to get to the leader's box, and he might move up a couple sleds.
200ths of a second was his first round advantage over Benny Meyer, and he's lost that.
Speed, 115.8 kilometers, that's 72 miles an hour.
Oh, and again wobbled.
But he can catch Meyer here if he keeps it straight. Remember, Meyer was sideways here. 100th, I gotta believe with that straight line, he's gonna catch Meyer in the bottom.
83.9, a fraction behind in terms of pace, could be to the 100th of a second at the line.
And he pulled away.
1600s.
Meyer was sideways on the exit of 14 on the chicane, and you know, Justin Cripps showed why he's one of the better drivers on tour. He came straight through the chicane and better speed in the bottom and picked up 1600ths in the last 150 meters on the track. Look at the back end of the sled. Whoa! 6, 7, and 8. They keep referring to it as the Devil's Highway. It has been today in the competition. Here's in 12. This wasn't too bad. A little bit of a tap in the front bump. He was straight down there, good speeds.
Delahunty update while we're talking about the Canadians. No longer with the Canadian program, but he's just told me he will be back in Altenburg.
What's that mean?
It means he'll be back coaching somebody in Altenburg.
Well, great, Tom. Good, looking forward to seeing you next year. Here come our French friends.
Yeah, Loic Costeg from Laplan. Now let's see what these guys can produce. They're sort of just outside where the chaos is going to happen, I think.
16th best start, 5:19 in the first run. That's not what they wanted.
Yeah, 5:17, a little bit faster.
Good lines. A little drift. One hit straight here.
On his way through White Base and down.
Well, let's see what he does down here. The Devil's Highway, 6 to 7. Watch the back end of the slope.
On split times, he's only in 3rd position at the moment. It's a little rough
way
ride.
back, way back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's 2500s at the bottom part of this track. Watch out here.
Oh!
little late in the 12, a lot of steering.
Well, Bruno Nijon builds a fast sled, but maybe not that fast to make back a quarter of a second in the last couple of corners.
That wasn't perfect.
And again, you wonder whether he's quite got the runners for this sort of temperature.
Well, his time way 6,200 slower. So that's a distinctive number, 0.6 slower.
Yeah.
Off a start time that was a better start.
Yeah.
So that tells me the tracks doesn't have anything left in it for time.
Or the temperature's gone away from him. He was loose.
And remember, the first heat, there's three sleds at the top of the leaderboard that are 400ths apart.
He was 5th off out of the start shed in the first heat. And I guess the ice is very different now, an hour and a half later.
Jeremy Bouton on the left,
yep.
Costage on the right.
Lamindine with the British four-man. Mark Lewis Francis, Andy Matthews, and Tremaine Gilling are the crew. Let's see what they can produce. They are in this group with 0.16 of a second between them and the leader. 8 sleds, 0.16. Here we go. This is Snakes and Ladders.
Olympic gold medalist in this sled. Track and field. What Olympics?
4 Athens.
Athens.
Yeah.
So, I keep saying Lamindine's on the verge. Eventually get on the podium. Might not be today, but when he gets over to some of the European tracks like Winterborg and Innsbruck, and have this lethal start, eventually he's going to get there. 100s. Up and back up the sled here. Not bad. Just crossover. Transition 16 to 18, and now the slingshot under the labyrinths. Let's look for the runner tips and the aerodynamic profile of his team. Oh, there's people bouncing around back there, you can see them. Lead looks safe. Pulling away. Lamindine put himself in the leader's box.
0.18 of a lead over Loic Costerg, so he's added a little bit from the first heat's advantage of 0.13.
3,500 slower,
yeah.
Unlike the French, who were 6,000 slower. Now that's a good line right there, and here's Cripps and Dean. Look at this. Cripps lost 0.3 of a kilometer to Dean here on exit of Shady. That's in the take-on and the elbow of the curve. They have these measuring devices that tells us who picks up or who loses speed, and that's the pivotal part of the track. You want to exit Shady and just fly down the bottom part of this track.
Brits go into the lead. Next up is Alexei Stulnev of Russia. I beg your pardon, it's Alexander Kazyanov of Russia, the silver medalist in the last 2 years here. So Kazyanov, 1/100th of a second faster than the Brits in the first heat. Is he going up a ladder or down a snake?
5:09 start. They should do better. I mean, but everybody's been slower. And I was surprised that this Russian wasn't in the top 3, 5:08. So they're the first team to go better in the second run. So that tells me they were not as good in the first run.
Well, the Brits just started 5:04 compared to 5:11 in the first heat. So Kazyanov sits down. He's already behind.
Alexander Kazyanov.
Does anybody come back from that deficit right here from this guy's gold medalist last week in Whistler, or 2 weeks ago in Whistler? As good as anybody.
Only Max Arndt to beat him on this track in the last 2 outings in a 4-man.
Loves the challenge.
In the lead, little Rocky.
Red numbers right here. It's going 100. This is going right to the 100. It's about the speed. He doesn't have great speed. 83.8. The British 400s is losing a lot of time down here.
Action faster. This could just dip to the line. No, 900s back. Okay, so he found a snake, not a ladder.
5,000. Look at this. He's 4,600 slower.
Yep.
Wow, he lost a lot of time on the bottom part of the track. I mean, temperatures are changing out there. It's a lot warmer than it was this morning.
I mean, we're seeing runs 4 to 6 tenths slower. That's unusual.
And what's here? Look if there's any skidding is, you know, he hits twice and then goes in. He pretty good line. Great aerodynamic profile from his team. Oh, last week's winner's not going to win this week.
Yep. So he will lose the lead of the World Cup. Alexander Kazyanov in second. Lamindine leads. 6 to go here in Lake Placid. Bronze medalist in the two-man on Saturday. Chris Spring lies in 6th after the first of 2 heats in the 4-man. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the action with you. And behind the Springer, Cam Stones, Lascelles Brown and Sam Giguère.
5:04 in the first run. Now look, he's up front. So he's got his feet locked on the ice. Different technique than a lot. 5:04. I mean, this is the second best time in the first heat. See what they got. 5:05.
Starting on the handle worked for Alexander Zubkov, didn't it, throughout his career?
Well, so visor, they're cut down.
Now
wow.
he manages. That's about the only place on the track where you've got time to snap your visor down and grab the handle again. It's not a steering wheel. You can't steer these one-handed.
That might cost him. I don't know what you do, even at 30 miles an hour, bringing your hand up. That's worth 100.
It's like a horse. You need both hands on the reins.
Boy, he's coming back, though.
Yeah, tied for the lead with Lamindine.
Watch these lines. You're going to need the perfect line through the chicane.
He was 200s in front from the first heat.
7, now he's flying. He's got big speed, 84 miles an hour, but he's late here, though. No problem. 1200. He's accelerating away.
4.7, just a fraction slower than the British sled, but he will take the lead at the line. Yes. By 1800ths of a second, that's a big margin.
He's only 1900ths off his first heat time. He likes it. Look at the sprint.
Yeah. Well, listen, he's just leapt in front. That could be a big ladder for Chris Spring to get back up into the medals for the second day in a row here.
We better that, baby.
5:05 start. Look at the visor.
Yeah.
And he taps there.
Yeah.
That's worth something. That did take his concentration off, but still the leader. We'll see if that affects him. You know, with the guys coming up.
That's why you see so many guys have a bit of gaffer tape, bit of tape on the sides to tape the visor down.
And Springer, I mean, he's...
I tell you who asked what the start time was. Lascelles Brown wanted to know. When you heard 5:05, I guarantee it was King that asked.
Top Russian sled coming up here.
Yeah, 5 to go. 1200s covering the leading group after the first heat.
Third best start, 5:05 in the first run, and let's see where he lies. He's up front. Yeah, his hands are on the push bar. He doesn't come from the back block. Let's listen. Cohesion. There's Zubkov. Back yelling. In down, 5:05. 4. Great. Now, see him take advantage of that start. Boy, that was clean exit. Good start speed. Wasn't too bad. He flopped off 2. Hits here once. Comes straight.
200ths of a second ahead of Chris Spring after the first heat. Outstarted the Canadian by 100.
Looking good here. This is surprising to see him in the top Russian sled.
800ths of a second in front, climbing up a ladder.
But his teammate lost a lot of time here at the bottom. Let's see if he can maintain it.
Oh,
that's not going to do it.
100th up and a big skid as he got over the brow in the chicane.
3.5 miles an hour. That's not going to do it. He's going to fall back at least one spot. So the Springer moving up 1. Russian's 4th best time.
Wow, down to 3rd behind Lamindine. Lamindine also moves up another spot. Chris Spring leads, 4 to go. Lamindine will be no worse than 6th. Spring no worse than 5th.
All Russian sleds have lost a lot of time. Well, the first one crashed, but the other 2 Russian sleds lost a lot of time on the bottom part of the track. Runners and setup.
Yep.
Especially with the start time they just had. This line didn't help. So it's tough to get these 4-mans in trouble. But when they get in trouble, watch them skid back to the back end, and is still on a skid there. And then he's got to get on that next curve with more of a pressure point, more steering.
It's backing itself in there, and that's ugly because it skids all the way around. Stephen Holcomb at the USA. Gold on Friday in the 2-man. Saturday he lies in 4th place. 1100ths from gold. Can he double up here? Carlo Valdez at 2, James Reed at 3, and Sam McGuffey, who took his first ever World Cup win behind Holcomb yesterday, is the man in the center of that back line on the brakes.
Brand new BMW sled.
Now that was a much cleaner hit than the first start.
5:09 they had the first heat, so they need a good start here to challenge the Canadians. 5:08.
Not the top American in the first heat either.
No, there's one more American sled coming, and he tapped there like he did in the first run. Same type of flop off of 2. Holcomb drove this sled with only about 6 practice runs with it up to a 4th place finish in Whistler. You know, and how many times has he won on this track? A lot. I asked him yesterday. You don't get sick of winning. He says, absolutely not. Only 100ths, though. That's not a good sign. It should have been more than that.
Well, the gaps at this stage are absolutely minute.
So tight. Perfect line here, -5. That's good. Speed.
Good run through the chicane, much better than Stormev had. Ahead of Chris Spring by 600ths. Will this be another big
medal run right here?
What about the gold?
Oh, 100. He lost it on the bottom.
Man, oh man, into the lead by 100th. It might still be enough to win this race. There are more snakes and more ladders waiting to be found.
That guarantees the Americans a medal because there's 3 sleds to go, including one of them being an American. So
yes.
No worse than 4th. Boy, he lost some time at the bottom. I didn't see that in 18-19. Looked smooth, but he had a 600th lead. Let's take a look here. Watch the heads if they snap really left or right coming off of 18 here. Here, watch this transition.
Little late.
That looks good there. So I don't, maybe steering too much too.
Seen worse, seen better. And
Yeah, maybe
again,
steered too much.
Again, maybe. Yeah, it was close. It still is close, Holkey. It still is. 400ths separated our top 3 after the first heat. Cody Basque with the visor covered up on the right-hand side is lying in 3rd place after the first of our 2 heats. Frank Del Duca, Adrian Adams, and Sam Mitchener. Adams was with him in the 2-man sled yesterday.
Pressure on this young 22-year-old from Whitehall, New York. Never won a World Cup medal before. I don't think he's ever finished in the top 5 of a race before.
Well, this can go one of 2 ways. Either it weighs him down or it frees him up. He knows he can beat Holcomb in 1 heat. All he's got to do is do it again.
Hey, in the U.S. trials this year, he won all 4 races. So the kid knows how to drive this track.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a delay. There's Don Haas back there. What's going on? There's a delay here. This is the wrong type of delay for this kid. I think here they go.
Here we go.
What pressure? A lot of family and friends. His father, Craig.
Yeah.
Just brought him up here for about, this kid's been sliding for over 10 years.
Okay. Every single 100th is going to count here. This start has to be exemplary for Cody Basque and the team.
Well, start 5:06 in the first run. In, down, clean. 5:09. It was clean exit there.
It was 700ths in front of teammate Stephen Holcomb from the first heat. He still has a slender lead.
This sled had the best speed on the bottom part of the track than anybody. At 500s is relative to the start efficiency he had to Holcomb. Oh, he just barely got through there.
Okay, if he takes a medal from this, then luck really is riding on his shoulder, or confidence, or both. Getting close. Still leads at the chicane, 200ths of a second.
Speed's not that good. I think Holcomb might get him here in the bottom, but
390 at 84.9, 84.9, top speed. Can he come back? Can he take the medal away from Stephen Holcomb? No, Holkey's in the medals again.
It's tough for
Wow, 600ths of a second cost him 2 spots. That's unbelievably tight.
But you know, this is a good learning curve for this young kid. He's now knows that he can get close to the podium here. Little skid on the chicane. He's not happy. Look, but this was close to being disaster. He came out of that though and kept the sled pretty straight. Here though, it got away from him. This is where it cost him. Left side, right. Look at the skid now. And that's a big steer that you're going to have in the next curve. Lost some time on the bottom, but hey, you know, no worse than fifth. His personal best.
He is coming. There's Alana Myers-Taylor as well, offering her congratulations to Holcomb and the crew in the medals for the second day in a row. 2 sleds to go. And there was just 100th of a second between the Koreans and the Swiss after the first heat. Oh boy, Holcomb leads, 2 to go.
This sled has never finished better than 11th in a 4-man competition. So this is history in the making for Korea.
This is their new look sled. Brand new sled this season for the Koreans. Yoon Jung-won.
09 in the first round.
First 4-man race of the season.
Better. Clean. That's the exit here. There's a flop here. Great. That's a good line.
1100ths of a second.
Very quiet up here, steering. That's the next thing. Moves up to 10, which is exactly what he had on Holcomb in the first run. Back end here, nice. These are great lines.
Skidding.
He's pulling away now. See what he can do in the bottom. This is for the first ever medal for Korea in 4-man bobsledding. Oh, it's down to 200s though.
World Cup
lost a lot of speed. Right to the 100, he doesn't have it. He might fall back more than one place. Chris Spring could sneak in here.
Spring is in the medals. Holcomb at least silver.
Wow, still a personal best ever for the Koreans.
Yep.
Behind Bascu. Look at so. Spring is 100th behind Holcomb.
Cody Bascu might still get a medal out of this race. 1 to go. Bascu 3rd, Spring 2nd, Holcomb 1st, and Yoon Jung-won career high of 4th place at the moment.
Lost a lot of speed. Look at the helmets back there. You can see there's not a very good aerodynamic profile back there. They'll correct that. Again, he's never been better than 11th. Doesn't have as much confidence in the 4-man as he does with the 2, where he's the World Cup champion from last year. Remember that face.
He looks happy with that run, doesn't he?
We could put a bet down in Las Vegas next year. I bet you he wins the Olympic gold medal.
Okay, so for gold in Lake Placid to round out 2016, go home for Christmas happy and smiley. Rico Peter, the silver medalist in Whistler 2 weeks ago, could also go home as the World Cup points leader.
He smells it. This guy can smell it. I mean, he's a reckless driver. This is not going to be a smooth ride.
Here's the guy he's got to beat. 5 4-man wins on this track. Stephen Holcomb already.
Yeah, you know how to start. 5:06. Probably 5:05, 5:04. Swiss precision timing. Swiss precision starts, 5:05. The Swiss have always been great. Now watch the way these guys ride the sled too. They've got a lot of the mechanics down, how to go fast.
Rico's style is
1100,
huge lead.
1100 over Holcomb from the first heat.
Watch the back end here. Oh,
Wild.
Huge lead.
Wow.
This is going to be one more spot for him.
How is this possible? It was so tight in the first heat. Top 8 covered by 1600s. He's a quarter second clear and going away.
Rico Peter
will be our World Cup champion if he survives 18. He does. He's going to win gold here. Silver 2 weeks ago. Gold in Lake Placid. Silver for Stephen Holcomb, bronze for Chris Spring, as he was yesterday in the 2-man race. Rico Peter is your new World Cup points leader, his first win of the season.
Good way to go to Christmas.
Well, he has found the same shortcut that was used in the women's skeleton race earlier today by Janine Flock, who had speed that nobody else came close to. What a race, what a finish. Victory for Rico Peter. That's crazy stuff. Wow, crazy 4-man race. This place never disappoints, does it? Lake Placid is a hard track to get the sled down, looking in any kind of shape.
Well, he's got 4 races, 3 medals.
Yeah.
gold and a silver in the four-man. The two-man was where he's making his strides the last few years, but all of a sudden Rico says, I'm going to do both. Good job, Rico.
Ben Hefty Racing Europa Cup back home in Europe and not among the medals. So Rico Peter currently standing like a colossus in Swiss bobsledding. Takes gold here in the second race of the World Cup season at Lake Placid to back up the silver medal behind Alexander Kasyanov in Whistler 2 weeks ago. Well, that will put him as our World Cup leader. Stephen Holcomb taking the silver medal and Chris Spring the bronze. Cody Basque 500s out. Yun Jong Won could have been in the medals, and maybe next time out he will. And Lamin Dean crept up to 6th position as he found a ladder, and a couple of the others found the snakes. Stulnev and Kasyanov 7th and 8th. Justin Cripps and Benny Meyer rounding out the top 10. And crashes for Maxim Andrianov and 2 for Nick Poloniato and his crew, delaying our race in both heats. Breathless stuff again from the four-man bobsled. This Lake Placid track has thrown all sorts of weather at the athletes this weekend and during the week, and it has proved to be still such a great track to race on. That's why it's one of the classics, because it always produces exciting action. And Rico Peter comes away from this with the gold medal. In the silver medal position, Stephen Holcomb. And I'm not sure perhaps that the fans thought that that was likely, even if they hoped that it was possible. Chris Spring, double silver medal, double bronze medalist this weekend, two-man and four-man. And the Canadians not in Chris Spring's old sled, the Phoenix. That is being raced by Ivo de Bruyn, the Dutch, finishing in 15th spot. Lana Myers-Taylor with her crew, mixed crew in 13th place behind Justin Olsen by 700ths of a second in the final reckoning. Olsen slipping away a little down to 12th position, but again, he's got time on his side to gain the experience. He's got the speed he needs. He hasn't got the experience yet of the tracks, and when we go to Europe, chances are he will be learning at an even faster rate than here in Lake Placid, a track that he knows pretty well. So it is going to be farewell to Lake Placid. After the end of proceedings today, everybody heads off to all ports east and west, north and south for their Christmas New Year break, and then we reconvene the first weekend in January, and that will be in Altenburg in Germany. They've raced in the Europa Cup in bobsleigh and skeleton there this weekend. Conditions excellent, track record challenging speeds going on. Confirmation of our new World Cup points leader. Rico Peter has the lead with a silver and now a gold under his belt before Christmas. Stephen Holcomb moves up to second spot ahead of Alexander Kasyanov. Chris Spring, Justin Cripps for Canada in the top 5. And Lamin Dean will go home for Christmas in 6th spot in the world rankings. So change around in our first 2 races of the season. But one of the common factors has been the pace of the Swiss four-man Rico Peter. He had a 2-man and 4-man medal around his neck in Whistler a fortnight ago, and he comes out and wins another 4-man medal. This time it's his first victory of the season as he claims the top spot on the podium here in Lake Placid. Well, there are the Swiss in the center, the Americans on the left, the silver medalists, the Canadians on the right, the bronze again. Chris Spring and Lascelles Brown took bronze in the 2-man, and with their teammates take bronze in the 4-man. Darren Steele, Executive VP of the IBSF, the governing body of bobsleigh and skeleton, handing out the flowers. Sam McGuffey on the podium for the second time this weekend. That's him on the right with the cap action going on. McGuffey, gold yesterday, silver today. That's not a bad haul, is it, from Lake Placid? And the Swiss, gold medals around their necks. So congratulations to everybody, and well done indeed to those who crashed in the first heat, got right back on the horse that threw them and went again. And thank you too to the track workers, to Tony Carlino and the crew, and especially to the whole 2V crew here. It has been 2 days of unmitigated purgatory with the weather, through all of which they have produced stunning images. I hope you've enjoyed being with us. If you have, join us again in Altenburg in January. Until then, to all of you, from us here, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, enjoy your winter break.